My next guest is coming off a spectacular win back at UFC Vegas 19 back on February 20th. You get that knockout over Eddie Wineland. Is John Castaneda back here on the program. John, how's it going, man?
I'm doing well, James. Thanks for having me on the show, brother.
Of course. Had to get you on, man. We've been doing these for a while. Congratulations. First UFC victory. Have you been able to soak this in that you now got a win in the big show?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been soaking it in these last few days now, especially, it was an important one. Nobody wants to start off their UFC career 0-2, you know what I mean? So I'm glad we're 1-1 and, especially over a big name like Eddie Wineland, who's been around the sport for a really long time. So it's definitely a memorable win for me.
How was, we had talked previously before the fight, but how did camp go? How did everything go according to plan? Of course, you had a full camp this time. It was, Everything was sort of on point. How did you feel going in?
I felt really good. Like you said, it was a full camp as opposed to that, my first one where I got a couple weeks notice, but everything was coming together. Little nicks and bruises here and there throughout camp, but I don't think anybody finishes camp, 100% healthy. We were healthy enough to put on a great show and feel confident about, what we were about to do in the fight. So that's the most important part. But no, everything went well. I know we talked about the COVID situation with a lot of these gyms. And honestly, I think, obviously, COVID in itself, terrible thing, but I think that it's helped a lot of fighters, including me. A lot of one-on-one personal training with our coaches, nothing else to do on the weekends besides train, everything being closed, you know what I mean? So I think that kind of helped a lot too.
Anything about Eddie surprise you in the fight?
Yeah, absolutely. We went in there with the utmost confidence in our striking and our movement and what we were going to do and the patterns that Eddie was going to show us. And to be honest, as soon as I got hit once, it kind of all went out the window. His style is definitely a little bit hard to imitate in the gym. So we had, we did our best, but I think the biggest thing was just his hands. You know what I mean? He keeps his hands relatively low. And to be honest, that was going to be one of our biggest things that we were going to exploit and use to our advantage. But we totally forgot to take part that his punches are going to be coming from down there as well, So his style, his traditional old school boxing style, it works, and it's really tricky to figure out. But honestly, the trajectory of his punches, where he, from down here as opposed to up here, come out a lot cleaner and a lot less telegraphed. So had to find the timing on that before I was able to pick up the pace on him.
What's going through your head when the referee steps in? I mean, it seemed like you hit him and you kind of knew that he was out and you just sort of went for the kill there. What were you feeling after the fight? I know there was a lot of respect you showed as well to Eddie after the fight. I'll get into that in a sec, but how did you feel? It's probably a sense of relief as well just to get that first UFC win.
Honestly, that was the biggest feeling, was just a sense of relief. So obviously that right hand, I caught him and I saw out of my peripherals just a little bit of a wobble in his step. And I knew at that point, all feelings go out the window and you're just thinking like, okay, you heard him. Just chase this guy down, pick your shots. And that's exactly what I did. And I was able to get the finish. As soon as Herzog stepped in and took the fight, I almost took a big breath of relief. You know what I mean? And all these emotions and nerves and, unknowns throughout fight camp and throughout that fight week really just all went out the window at that point. So it was really cool.
I tried to make out what you said on the broadcast. You said something like, I've been watching you since, I was just getting into the sport and all that. Like, what did it mean to, I know it was probably bittersweet as well, because Eddie was someone, by the sounds of it, after the fight, you really looked up to.
Absolutely. And honestly, any bantamweight in the current, on the roster right now who doesn't look up to Eddie Wineland or the things that he's done is just, it's trash. He's put in some serious work. Obviously, former WEC champ, former UFC
title challenger. I was at his title fight when he fought Barao in Toronto. That was years ago.
He's always been a contender. So, growing up for me, anyways, I always kept my eyes on Eddie Wineland and looked up to him. So it was kind of surreal when that fight obviously came into fruition, and let alone when I beat a guy like that. You know what I mean? It definitely gives me some confidence going into my next fight and kind of a sense of belonging. You know what I mean? There was always that feeling, especially after a debut loss, man, do I really belong with these guys in the UFC? But I knew it all along. It's just you need to win some fights to definitely kind of convince yourself.
How did you celebrate after the fight?
We just went out. We went back to the hotel. I did all my laundry from the week. All the training in the the UFC PI, and then next door we got a little workout room. I had a bunch of laundry. We did some laundry. I ate some pasta, and then I went home that next morning. So nothing too crazy.
Okay. Early flight in the morning. Like, did you have to get up? Did you have any drinks or anything, or no?
No drinks or nothing like that. No,
okay.
And to be honest, like we were quarantined to the hotel. If you did leave the hotel, you had to stay off of the hotel premises, which totally makes sense, just to keep everyone safe with COVID. But I'm not much of a drinker. To be honest, I'm more of like a celebrate with food type guy. So,
okay, sure.
I
thought you were going to say weed for a second, but yeah, food's good too. I agree, yeah, so.
No, celebrate with some good food, and we had some cookies and stuff like that. Went home that next day, did the same thing yesterday with my wife. Got some good food, and right back to training on Monday. So we essentially didn't have any injuries during the fights, which is good, and ready to rock.
Were you a little, a little bittersweet as well? You didn't get the bonus. I figured maybe there was a good shot. Did you feel like you had the bonus, or are you looking at some of those other fights and you're like, damn it?
Yeah, to be honest, me and my team went back to the hotel room, and we were like, okay, that was like a cool finish. And obviously, like, we watched the remainder of the card with intent to like watch if these guys, if anybody was going to deserve a bonus in those fights. And obviously after the main event, we were like, okay, well, there's one of the bonuses right there for sure. But where are the other ones, right? Like, I'm definitely a contender for one, but it's not a big deal to be. Obviously, it would have been nice, a little icing on the cake, but the most important thing for me was obviously getting that first win in the UFC.
Yeah, no, very well said. So you kind of talked about it there, kind of came out unscathed. When are you looking to get back in there? Do you have an idea of when you want to have your next fight?
Yeah, I'm trying to get back in there soon. Like, I'm not trying to, get too heavy after this fight, trying to maintain my weight, obviously stay in shape. So, if it were up to me, I would say early April.
Okay.
Or April, May. But obviously we got to talk to my managers and everyone at the UFC. So.
Okay. And any opponents in mind, or you just leave that up to your coaches and your manager?
Just leave it up to my management and my coaches and stuff. Like, to be honest, mostly management. My coaches kind of just are on the same page as me. Whoever they think they see fit. We obviously decide then and there. But I trust my management with everything. Jason House at Iridium Sports, he's got me on a good path right now. Obviously I fought a tough guy in Nathaniel Wood right away, but then we fought another tough guy in Eddie Wineland right away, and obviously he trusted me with that fight, and so I trust him 100%.
What's been the reception since the fight? Because a lot of people saw the knockout. I'm sure the social media following went up. Did you get any cool messages, maybe ones that you weren't expecting from people, saying, hey, man, congrats? Because, again, it's been a long road for you to get here to get that first UFC win.
Absolutely. I think I definitely saw a big bump in my following and stuff like that. But I think most of the stuff that I was seeing on social media were just talking about how, like, respectful I was. And I'm like, are people like normally not respectful? Like, what do you mean? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I guess I don't really watch a lot of like post-fight interviews or just interviews in general of other fighters. You know what I mean? But this is just who I am. You know what I mean? I'm a respectful guy. I'm a humble guy. And, I work hard for everything that I have and everything that I will have. So, I like I said in an interview earlier, like, my mom, she raised me right. You know what I mean? Respectful guy.
I agree. And respectful in these interviews, man. Always appreciate it, John. Looking forward to the next one. Just remind people where they can get a hold of you on social media. And if you got any sponsors or shout outs, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just Twitter, obviously, you guys can find me at SexyMexi135. Instagram, John Castaneda _. And then, honestly, just a big shout out and thank you to my management, everyone at Iridium Sports Agency, all my teammates and my coaches at the Minnesota Martial Arts Academy, and then obviously you for having me on the show, brother.